You've been told your whole life that putting yourself first is selfish. And because you believed it, you abandoned yourself for years, thinking that was love. You were probably praised for it. People called you caring, selfless, reliable, the person everyone could count on. Meanwhile, you were exhausted, disconnected, overextended, wondering why life felt so heavy. If that sounds familiar, stay with me. Because what if the very thing you've been taught to feel guilty about is actually the foundation of peaceful, aligned life? Today, we're exploring a simple but life-changing truth. Self-prioritization is not selfishness. Newsflash. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why including yourself in your own life is one of the most loving choices you can make. If someone immediately comes to mind while you're hearing this, send them this video. If you're ready to move from reaction to conscious choice, like and subscribe. So let's dive in. Nobody's born believing they should come last. No, that idea gets learned. Somewhere along the way, many of us absorb a message. Good people sacrifice. Good people put everyone else first. Good people earn love through giving. The problem is that when we hear those messages often enough, they stop feeling like options. They become rules. And then we start living by them without ever questioning where they came from. But here's the distinction that changes everything. Selfishness says, only I matter. Self-prioritization says, I matter too. One excludes the other. The other includes you in turn. That's not selfish. That's healthy. Because when you consciously leave yourself out of the equation, there's always a cost. You ignore your needs. You override your intuition. You make decisions from obligation instead of alignment. Eventually, taking care of everyone else, that you lose connection with yourself. And when that happens, your brainchild takes over. The noise gets louder. The second guessing begins. You react instead of respond. You survive instead of consciously choosing. That's why this matters. Not because self-prioritization makes life easier, because it makes conscious living possible. So let me ask you something. Where in your life have you been leaving yourself out? Not where you've been helping, not where you've been giving. Where have you stopped including yourself? Sit with that for a moment. Then we're going to do a short experiential exercise. If you're driving, walking, or doing something that requires your attention, just simply listen. Otherwise, gently close your eyes. Take a slow breath in and allow the exhale to be longer. Again, breathe in, exhale out longer. And now bring your awareness to your body. Notice where responsibility lives. Notice where pressure lives. Notice where carrying everyone else lives. You don't need to change anything. Simply observe. And now ask yourself, what has it cost me to continually place myself at the bottom of my own list? Allow whatever arises to rise. No judgment here, no fixing, just awareness. Now take a final breath. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Continue breathing. For most of my life, I didn't realize I was doing exactly that. A single parent, my children were my focus. Everything revolved around making sure they were okay, food on the table, roof over their heads, keeping life moving forward. And while I was taking care of everyone else, I slowly disappeared from my own life. It's probably happening before that. Actually, it was happening before that. I became a collection of roles: parent, employee, so-called daughter, caretaker, wife, ex-wife, sister, woman, female. But somewhere underneath those roles was me. And I had stopped listening. Then the pandemic happened. For many people, it was chaos. For me, it also created something else: stillness. And in that stillness, I found myself asking a question I had avoided for years. What do I actually want? Not what was practical, not what other people expected. What do I want? And the answer surprised me. Moved to Turkey. I've known that all my life, but it was now. I was born and raised in Canada. Deep down, I knew Canada had never felt like home. And for the first time in my life, I listened to that knowing. Not because it was easy, not because it made sense to everyone around me, definitely not, because it was true. The decision changed. That decision changed everything. It brought me peace. It brought me alignment. It brought me home. And none of that would have happened if I had continued ignoring myself. So, how do you begin? Not with a massive life change, not by moving across the world. You begin with awareness. This week, just this week, before making any meaningful decision, pause. Then ask yourself one question. What would I choose if I included myself in this decision? That's it. No pressure, no expectation, just curiosity. Because conscious choices begin with conscious awareness. Let's finish with one final experience. Again, if you're able and you're safe, gently close your eyes. Take a slow breath in. Allow the exhale to be slightly longer. And just repeat that cycle of breath as we do this exercise. Now imagine a version of yourself who naturally includes yourself in decisions. Notice how you move through the world. Notice your energy. Notice your presence. Notice the calm that comes from no longer abandoning yourself. Remember to breathe. What is one choice this version of you would make differently this week? Don't force an answer. Simply listen. Trust whatever comes. Take one final cycle of breath. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. What came up for you during those exercises? What did you notice? Share it in the comments below. I'd genuinely love to hear what became clear for you. As you move through this week, carry this question with you. What becomes possible when I stop leaving myself out of my own life? Not tomorrow, not someday, now. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this message. Every share helps another person remember that they matter too. Today we uncovered a powerful truth. Self-prioritization is not selfishness. But understanding that truth is only the first step. Because even when you know better, you can still fall back into old patterns if you don't have the capacity to sustain change, right? That's exactly what we're exploring next. Micro move to the cup metaphor. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup no matter how much you want to. I'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks for joining me.